Hello everyone, this presentation is about the timeline history from 1850 to 1875. So in 1850, the first industrial revolution just ended.
The Industrial Revolution was a period of major mechanization and innovation that began in Great Britain during the mid-18th century and the early 19th century, and later spread throughout much of the world. The Industrial Revolution gave rise to a new organization of society, the emergence of new classes, urbanization, and an expanding population. Industrialization made possible rates of economic growth that vanquished demographic pressures for the foreseeable future. It also led to dramatic and long-lasting improvements in the standard of living that underpinned the affluence of contemporary industrialized world. Great Britain was the first country to experience an industrial revolution made by the mid-19th century. It dominated the global market for the products of modern industry. The Industrial Revolution led to inventions that included the assembly line, telegraph, steam engine sewing machine, and internal combustion engine. Textile industry, mechanized spinning, first by water wheels and later by steam engines, greatly increased the output of workers. The power loom increased the workers' output by 40%. The cotton gin increased the efficiency of removing seeds from cotton by 50%. The weaving of wool and flax also produced large productivity grains, but there was not as significant as cotton. Steam power, the efficiency of steam engines increased, allowing them to only use 1/5 to 1/10 the fuel they used to. The adaptation of stationary steam engines to rotary motion that makes them suitable for industrial use. The high power to weight ratio of the high pressure engine made it suitable for transportation and for the train for long distance land transportation was born. After 1800, steam power sped rapidly. The steam engine has changed the limitations that previous products can only rely on human and animal power and provided cheap and sufficient power for industrial production and transportation. Steel production process. Replacing charcoal with coke greatly reduces the fuel cost of pig iron and brought iron production and also increases the toughness and strength of steel. The use of coke also increases the maximum size of the blast furnace and expands the economic scale. Cast iron blown molded cylinders were first used in 1760. It was subsequently improved, making it double action, which made higher furnace temperatures possible.
And after Britain emerged from the crisis in 1850, it entered a 7-year boom that led to the rest of the world out of the crisis. The boom of 1854 to 57 was supported by financial speculation, and after the collapse of the financial system, industry went bankrupt on an even greater scale. The economic crisis of 1857 first occurred in the United States, and the spread to Germany, France, and Britain. It attacked all areas of economic life of these major capitalist countries and was the first truly worldwide economic crisis. However, in economic cycle from the late 1840s to the early 1870s, there were three phases of prosperity: 1860 to 63, 63 to 65, and 65 to 72, with extremely strong economic momentum. The main reason lead to economic prosperity are the fanatical construction of railways, and the continuous progress of production technology. A series of major political events, such as the American Civil War, the unification of Germany and Italy, brought about the effect of market expansion. Oil companies get rapid development, and so on. And in 1848 to 1900, with the realism happening, which is the mid-19th century artistic movement characterized by subjects painted from everyday life in a naturalistic manner. In 1848, France was once again at the center of Europe's revolution. This time the demand was not just for the overthrow of a king, but for a classless, egalitarian society. Along with the European Revolution came realism. It is a high political art movement that advocates looking at the real people around them and using art to make people rethink reality rather than seeking imaginary and idealizing beauty from exotic and ancient sense. Many scholars regard the realist movement as the first wave of modern art. In France, we have Courbet. In the field of art, the real foundation of realism is the French painting Courbet. In 1849, Courbet returned to his hometown of Ornans and created a huge work, The Funeral of Ornans, which took the life of ordinary residents of his hometown as the theme, and did not shy away from the defense of people, neither the rigorous order of classicism nor the dramatic emotions of romanticism, which set off an uproar in the French painting world at the time. Like Colbert, Miller, who lived in Barbizon, trained his eyes on civilians around him. With his Rembrandt-like contrast of light and shade, he duplicates the daily life of peasants, who, despite their blurred and ragged figures, spoke with pity and poetic sentiment, and these paintings were an important source of inspiration for Van Gogh. In the mid-19th century, the Tsar Alexander II abolished serfdom and introduced extensive reform in various fields. As a part of the reforms, in 1859, the Imperial Academy of Arts introduced a painting competition. In 1863, 14 students who participated in the competition asked the school to change the subject of painting, allowing the author to choose his own subject, but the school refused, so they left the academic in anger and organized Russia's first independent artists association, the St. Petersburg Artists Cooperative, which in 1870 joined with the painters in Moscow to form the Itinerants. The Itinerants, which lasted until 1923, was the most influential Russian art organization of the second half of the 19th century. It exposes the liberalism and believes that art has a social and moral responsibility. By touring major cities on a regular basis, the Itinerants hope to foster a love of art and book sales. Most of the work exhibited in the exhibition are in the realistic style, which good at using psychological description and typological tragic technique to express the social realism of Russia. Different from realistic art that focused on the present, the Pre-Raphaelite school mostly focused on classic history, religion, and rural life before industrialization. showing the romantic artistic attitude, and the work are rich in detail, realistic and elegant. The pre-Raphaelite movements lasted only a little more than a decade, and this short movement has a lasting and profound impact on British art. And then the architecture in realism.
At the end of the 19th century, with the increase of steel production, a variety of steel structure buildings were erected, and some of which got rid of the appearance of traditional buildings and showed the appearance of modern buildings. At the end of the 19th century, with the increase of steel production, a variety of steel structure buildings were erected, some of which got rid of the appearance of traditional buildings and showed the appearance of modern buildings. With the development of the railway in 1835 to 1839, the British first built a cast iron structure roof at London's Euston Railway Station with a span of 12 meters. The Italianate style was most prevalent in America between the 1850s and the 1880s. Was inspired by rambling, informal Italian farmhouses and Italian-style villa architecture. The Italianate style placed an emphasis on the vertical orientation of the building, as if someone was pulling the top of the building up, and as if the building was made of putty as it stretched upwards. The windows and door frames became narrower and attenuated. Irresistible to the first generation of American-born architects, among them Benjamin Latrobe, Robert Mills, William Strickland, Thomas U. Walter, Ethel Town, etc. Greek Revival was the dominant style of domestic architecture between 1830 and 1850. In New England, large groups of Greek Revival houses can be found in cities that industrialized during this period, such as New Haven and Hartford, Connecticut, and Cambridge in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Vernacular examples in rural areas of New England are also common. The revival in Europe began during the 18th and 19th century as a part of the picturesque movement. A design philosophy, this movement sought to break free from the rigid geometric nature of classicism and to create naturalistic and relaxed designed landscapes and homes.
And in 1853, the Black Sheep incident happened. Moved to 1855, Russia lost the Crimean War, and in 1859, Darwin published on the origin of species. In 1861, the American Civil War happened.
After the 1830s, sentiments in the northern United States surged in favor of abolish slavery. This created apprehension among southern individuals as slavery stood as the cornerstone of the southern economy, leading to heightened tension between the two regions. In 1861, the commencement of the American Civil War opened when Confederate first opened fire on the Union-held Fort Sumter. In the mid-19th century, the United States was rapidly developing, but the North and South had fundamentally different economic system. The North thrived in industry and manufacturing, while the South relied on the agri-system based on the slavery. This different cased the conflicts between the North and South in politics and interests. In 1862, the President Abraham Lincoln issued the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation. Emancipation would redefine the Civil War, turning it from the struggle to preserve the Union to one focused on ending slavery, and set a decisive course for how the nation would be reshaped after that historical conflict. On December 18, 1865, the 13th Amendment was adopted as part of the United States Constitution. The amendment officially abolished slavery and immediately freed more than 100,000 enslaved people from Kentucky to Delaware. The emancipation of Black slaves became the crucial turning point in this war. Around 186,000 Black soldiers joined the Union Army by the war's end in 1865, with 3,800 losing their lives. In 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrounded, making the start of the series of Confederate surrender. The North and West great prosperous, while the once prosperous, the South become the impoverished within a century, and the politic power of the slaver and affluent thousands came to an end. The outcome of the Civil War resulted in the strengthening of U.S. foreign power and influence. As a definitive Union defect of the Confederacy, fairly demonstrated the strength of the United States government and restored its legitimacy to handle the sectional tensions that had complicated the U.S. external relations in the year before the Civil War.
And after, in 1861, the art and craft movement happening in Europe. In the mid-19th century, motivated by the death of decorative arts, the arts and craft movement was launched in Britain by the critical Ruskin, the painter William Morris, and the architect August Pugin, and was committed to creating practical objects of high aesthetic value for the people. The art and craft movement opposed industrialization and advocated the imitation of nature, mainly around plants and geometric patterns, often used medieval, romantic, or folk-style decoration, and had a strong influence on the arts and the industrial design of European countries. During 1860 to 1890, the Impressionism is happening.
The Impressionist movement emerged in the 19th century in France. During this period, the French art was dominated by the academic art, which valued historical, religious, and portrait paintings that emphasized realism and fine brushwork. However, some artists like the Oscar Monite, among others, within this area prefer to painting scape and daily life. The Impressionist focused on the play of light, observed ordinary subjects from the unusual perspective, and emphasized the variations in light. Their freestyle and loose brushwork soon becomes synonymous with the modern life. We can see this famous painting, the impression sunrise, was created from the scene in the port of the Le Havre. The Monite depicts a mast which provides a hazy background to the piece set in the French harbor. The orange and yellow hue contrast brilliantly with the dark vessels, where later, if any detail is immediately visible to the audience. In 1874, the painting was exhibited and is credited with inspiring the name of the Inspirationist movement. Possession is one of the representative of the post-impressionism. He valued the visual reality of color, which greatly different from the previous printers who observed the nature in a more regional and subjective manner. His carving had a view of the entire Santa Victory Mountain, and he painted dozens of press depict this mountain. Each shows its unique changes. Mary Cassatt is an American female painter. In A Little Girl in a Blue Armchair, Mary Cassatt demonstrate her powers of the observation in showing her young subject sprawled in the large blue armchair. Cassatt's strong color and energetic brushwork mark her connection with the French Impressionist.
Impressionism, in the short time, it completely changed the art forever. And we have 1870 to 1940, the Second Industrial Revolution begins.
It was a phase of rapid scientific discovery, standardization, mass production, and industrialization from the late 19th century to the early 20th century. Between 1820 and 1860, the visual map of the United States was transformed by unprecedented urbanization and rapid territorial expansion. These changes mutually fueled the Second Industrial Revolution, which peaked between 1870 and 1914. It is, however, clear that the rapid rate of path-breaking inventions, macro inventions, slowed down after 1825 and picked up steam again in the last third of the century. The great path-breaking invention in energy, materials, chemicals, and medicine described below were crucial, not because they themselves had necessarily a huge impact on production, but because they increased the effectiveness of research and development in innovative activity.
And in 1871, the establishment of the first international is happening. On March 18th, uprising, the establishment of Paris Commune, and the lyric for the International. In 1875, the Constitution of the French Third Republic was promulgated, and France was officially established as a republic. In addition, we have like the printing history happening during this period of time.
I would like to talk about the history about the painting. First, we know around the 140, the first known movable type system was invented in China by Bishan using porcelain. This system was widely adopted throughout East Asia. Woodblock printing also changed the shape and structure of books. Scrolls were gradually replaced by the concertina binding from the Tang period onward. Around 1450, the Johannes introduced the letterpress printing to Europe with his movable type printing press. This new way of printing with mental letters quickly spread across Europe because it was good quality and didn't cost a lot. It changed how books and ideas spread in Europe, including things like literature and religion contributed to the Renaissance, eventually having an impact all around the world. The plain graphic printing is currently the most widely used printing methods in the world, and it's a common technique in commercial printing. It was invented in 1798. In the 19th century, this printing method was combined with the colors and used for printing some colorful images known as the chromolithograph, mainly used for printing. This type of color printing technology remains quite expensive, but cost can be significantly reduced by simplifying graphics and colors used for creating inexpensive images such as advertisement. Laser printers have lower printing cost and faster speed, revolutioning the people's lifestyles in the new field. Desktop publishing emerged in 1985 with the combination of the Apple Macintosh computer, printers, and imagisters. Adobe PostScript and the layout application LDOS PageMaker make the publishing more affordable.
And that's what our presentation is about. This is the citation, and thank you for watching.